the War of Armageddon. For people who believe in religious predictions, nothing is scarier than the fiery end described in the Bible's predictions. They talk about the Antichrist, who is like Satan's child, bringing about the end of the world, called Armageddon. This is when believers think good people will be taken up to heaven in an event called the Rapture, and then the world will be destroyed. According to these predictions, the Antichrist will pretend to bring peace to the world, but will actually start a huge nuclear war. This war will reach its peak in a battle called Armageddon. Then Jesus will come back to defeat the Antichrist and start God's rule on earth. Some people, like David Mead, have tried to use complicated codes and calculations to say that the end of the world was going to happen in September 2017. But as we can see, that didn't happen. The Mayan Doomsday prediction. Remember all the fuss in 2012 about the Mayan calendar ending on December the 21st? Some people got really scared, thinking it meant that the world would end. They believed that the ancient Mayans had predicted a disaster for that day. People went a bit crazy, stocking up on food and even buying apocalypse insurance. There were all sorts of wild ideas, like planets lining up and Earth's crust shifting or a black hole swallowing us up. But then December 22nd came and nothing happened. The world just kept going like normal. It turns out the Mayan calendar was just like starting a new cycle. Like our calendar starts again every January 1st. It was all blown out of proportion by the media. The Y2K bug. Let's talk about the Y2K scare from 1999, also known as the Millennium Bug. People were worried that when the clock struck midnight on January 1st, 2000, computer systems using 2-digit years would get confused by the 00. Everyone freaked out, imagining planes crashing, financial markets collapsing, and even nuclear plants exploding because of this small computer glitch. Companies and governments spent over $300 billion fixing old software before the bug could bring us back to the Stone Age. But when January 1st, 2000 arrived, the world kept spinning and there were only a few small problems with some computers. Asteroid collision. Thanks to movies like Armageddon, we know that asteroids crashing into Earth can be a big problem. Even though it doesn't happen often, the scars left by past asteroid hits remind us of the huge damage they can cause. NASA keeps an eye on any big rocks in space that might come too close to Earth. They've found thousands of them, and they predict many more close calls in the next 100 years. If a really big asteroid, like one a mile wide, were to hit us, it would be much more powerful than any nuclear bomb. It would throw up tons of rock into the air, causing fires, earthquakes, floods, and volcanic eruptions. This could not only destroy cities, but also mess up the atmosphere so much that it could lead to a mass extinction. Imagine if a huge asteroid, 6 miles wide, hit us directly. It could smash the Earth into pieces, leaving behind nothing but bits of rock where our planet used to be. The Heaven's Gate mass suicide. In 1997, there was a lot of worry about aliens invading because a strange UFO was seen near the Hale-Bopp comet. The Heaven's Gate cult, led by Marshall Applewhite, thought aliens were coming and wanted to join them. Applewhite told his 39 followers that they could only leave their human bodies and go to the aliens if they killed themselves. So, tragically, they all ate poison pudding and suffocated themselves. But sadly, there were no aliens or spaceships. It was just a terrible event caused by people believing in wild ideas and doing extreme things because of it. Out of all the ways life on Earth could end, the idea of humans causing a nuclear disaster is one of the most realistic and terrifying. Since we first figured out how to split atoms for bombs in 1945, the threat of nuclear war has been hanging over us. During the scariest part of the Cold War, the US and Soviet Union together had enough nuclear weapons to destroy the world several times over. Even though we've reduced the number of bombs since then, there are still over 13,000 of them ready to go. Just one of these bombs could start a chain reaction of explosions. Some scientists who keep track of how close we are to disaster, like those who watch the Doomsday Clock, say we're very close to a nuclear war right now because tensions between countries are high. Climate catastrophe. The next big disaster we're facing doesn't require predicting the future like Nostradamus. It's our messed up climate caused by all the pollution we're pumping into the air. You don't need to imagine New York City underwater to see the problem. Just look at the wildfires, droughts, failed crops, and crazy storms happening more often. That tells us things are getting worse. If we reach certain points, like the Amazon rainforest dying or the polar ice melting, we could end up with a planet that's too hot for us to live on. This would mean constant disasters like the Dust Bowl, oceans with no life left, and even more greenhouse gases released from melting ice. Even if things don't get that bad, just a few degrees warmer could mess up farming and spread diseases. Gamma ray bursts, these are super powerful blasts of energy that come from dying stars called neutron stars. They're even stronger than supernova explosions. What makes gamma ray bursts so terrifying is how far they can reach. If one happened close to Earth, it could blast through our atmosphere and destroy our biosphere with deadly radiation. Within days, the ozone layer would disappear, exposing us to harmful UV rays. This would kill off most plants and animals, causing food chains to collapse. Eventually, only really tough, tiny creatures like tardigrades could survive.